Hello, welcome to Good Hugs. It's a show where we ask people this question.
Would you care to share with me one of the most remarkable, memorable, or important hugs that you've ever had in your entire life?
This is great. So it might take me a moment. It might take me a moment only because, human connection is so important. And I'm trying to think if there's just one hug so hard to set apart.
It can be multiple, it could be one. You can take your time and I can edit this out.
Okay.
Most people don't answer it right away.
I can do because I'm like,
You can also say pass.
no, I love this question.
This is Good Hugs. I'm your host, Josh Hollop. I ask everyone that question that you just heard. The key thing to remember here is that they do not know what the question is until it has been asked. This podcast was recently described to me by a friend as watching a Hallmark movie with your family during Christmas. Okay, whatever. I'll take it. Let's start. Today's episode is with couples. I've interviewed couples sometimes separately and sometimes together. The first two interviews are with a couple that were separated. I interviewed them separately. Again, they do not know what the question is. Let's start with Kara and Christian.
Hi, my name's Kara Marie Young. I'm an artist and local in Detroit, Michigan. Interdisciplinary artist and teacher with Detroit Public Schools.
Kara, thank you for doing this. I'm going to ask you a question. It has no wrong answer. Would you care to share with me one of the most remarkable, memorable, or important hugs that you've ever had in your entire life?
This is great.
Most people don't answer it right away.
I can do because I'm like,
You can also say pass.
no, I love this question. And I guess there's multiple. It's hard because it's like there's not one relationship in my life. Like, I'm also married, but there's many people that tie into our lives that become like intimate supporters, whether that's like all be learning, teachers, family members, people that might be living their last few moments and we get a chance to hug them. All of those are so important. And so the very first moment that I was thinking about was when my husband and I were traveling abroad in 2017. This was before we were married and we were still just, friends. And he was in Russia and some other places for like a little over a month. And I was in France. It was the first time I went to Europe. And I remember because my parents were completely skeptical about me leaving. My pen pal had set everything up so that I could just spend time with her in her house. And I was so excited because I'd been learning French for like 5 years textbook-wise. But finally being able to go and travel for the first time, like living with her, it was amazing. And the whole time traveling and navigating, Charles de Gaulle and like all the things alone. On WhatsApp with like terrible reception of like not knowing if I was on the right train until I hugged her and I saw her and she was carrying this flag that had my name on it. It was like a French flag and an American flag. And she's like, and I was like, okay, this is it. Oh, it was crazy. It was a 2-hour train ride. I did not know if I was going to the right place. I just asked everyone, did my best. And I was like, well, you know what? This will be the cake. And so seeing her and hugging her there, such relief. And like feeling like, I am glad to be able to like navigate. And then when I got back from that trip, this goes back to, so that hug is also just as wonderful because I thought of it. But the hug that I was mentioning with my husband was on the way back from that trip after I'd spent a month and a week. And then Christian was coming back from Russia and I was spending and seeing him after doing, through all the jet lags. And we actually didn't know what to do, and we saw each other, and then my friend was like, "You guys should like say something." But it was amazing just being able to see, when your person's living their life and you're living your life, and then coming back that full circle. It's like it's a really like amazing moment, and so that hug was epic, so epic. Yeah, and so that's all I've already given to you. I feel like
That's okay. It showed, I think, hopefully through this experiment that you have more than one. That means you're living a rich life. I hope that is what this experiment proves. I don't know. Everyone has their own experience, but I do have 2 follow-up questions I ask everyone. Number 1, how would you describe physically these each 2 hugs? Were they hard, soft, swaddly, bony?
Christian's was swaddling for sure. It was like, oh my God, I'm back home. Like there's just a level of safety there. And then also, hugging my friend Flory, it was really like, oh my gosh, I made it to the other side of the bridge. Like, the journey is not over, but it was like, yes, we can keep going. It was very firm, like, oh my gosh, I'm just so glad to see her. And she was my pen pal for 3 years before.
Oh, cool.
So we had conversations, we sent letters, we sent packages to each other, but like that was the first like, welcome to my home.
And the final question is, if you had a file cabinet, you opened it up and it had a different file and the heading had a single word, and you had to open up a file and label each of these hugs, what would the file say?
Just not thinking about it, like it would be visions would be love for sure. It would just be love. And Flory's would be like Francais IRL.
Gareth, thank you for sharing your story with me. Would you like a hug?
One. Thank you.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Josh. That was awesome.
Thank you, Kara. That was really nice. Again, I ask people the hug question, but they don't know what the question is before I ask it. It's very important to note, especially with this interview with Christian and the last one with Kara. With that being said, let's listen to Kara's husband, Christian.
Christian, I'm a PhD candidate at Wayne State University. I'm doing my degree in history. I focus on the history of Black revolutionary artists and their experiences in Europe.
Christian, I'm going to ask you one question. It has no wrong answer. Would you care to share with me one of the most meaningful or memorable hugs that you ever had in your entire life?
Oh, that's such a good question. My mind would go to first just like when I was in Moscow in 2017. I got back, and after a month, and hugging my wife, who wasn't my wife at the time, but I had her engagement ring in my pocket, and hugging her after that trip, which was such an intense trip, was definitely up there. And then if not that, maybe a student when I was teaching in public school. This is recent. He had a really tough time. He was a rough student, but he and I, had a really strong relationship. And this was at the very end of the year. He had been gone for a week. He ran out of his car and came up to me and hugged me and like hugged me. Like he was like tight around me, and he was like crying, and he's like, "I'm gonna miss you so much." So one of those two, probably.
That's beautiful. I have 2 follow-up questions I asked everyone, and you gave me 2 answers. So the first question is, how would you physically describe each of those hugs? Were they strong, soft, swaddly, bony, sweaty?
I would say the hug with my wife when I got back from Moscow was very soft, very tender, very like simple, because we were still young in our relationship, and so we hadn't hugged as much at that point. And so I guess like it was very like quivery and soft. The other one was with the student was he was crying, so it was very like shaky, bony because he's a kid, and really, I don't know, it was hard, like it was different, like it was tight, it was bony, and it was quivery.
Interesting. And then the final question is, if you had a file cabinet and you opened up that file cabinet, you had a bunch of different files and they have a little label on it with one word, what file would you classify each of these hugs and put them into?
In the first one, I guess I'd say like, I don't know. I'm not a very emotional person, so I'd classify that one as like, I would just put it under my emotions because it would be a very small file. And then maybe the other one I'd put it under like, I don't know, sadness, because it was a very sad moment. It was tender, but it was very sad. Yeah.
Christian, thank you for sharing with me.
Thank you.
Would you like a hug?
I guess so, yeah. Let's go ahead.
Thank you again, Christian. 4 stories from 2 people, 1 couple, and 1 hug described by 2 people. Pretty freaking cool. Let's move on to our next couple. They were interviewed together. This is Dorothy and Russ. Russ and Dorothy. Russ and Dorothy, I'm going to ask you one question. It has no wrong answer. Would you care to share with me one of the most memorable or meaningful hugs that you've ever had in your entire life?
That's hard.
Yeah, that's a hard question. Do you want to go first,
I
or?
mean, if you've got something, you go ahead.
Gosh, if I had a guess, the first memorable hug was probably when I first started dating Dorothy 50 plus years ago. When we first started dating, I mean, usually, when you're with somebody the first time, something like a hug is very meaningful. And I mean, even today we hug and it still has tremendous meaning. And we've been married for 49 years.
Well, that's nice.
Well, off the top of my head, that's the first thing that pops into my mind. I'm sure somewhere, if I really sat down and thought about it, I would maybe say, I don't know, the first time my grandmother or my grandfather hugged me or something, but different meanings to that. So,
Yeah, there's all different kinds of hugs. The ones where they don't really mean a whole lot, and then there's ones where, like, there's one person in particular that they hug so tight that I thought something was going to pop. But, I mean, in that regard, I mean, that's anticipatory because I know what to expect. But the first memorable hug is tough.
yeah, that's...
Well, again, there's no wrong answer.
Yeah.
And they can be multiple. Some people give multiple answers. Some people say, I'm not a hugger.
Well,
I know there's some people that don't. Yeah, I have a friend that I want to hug her when I see her, but I know that's not her thing, so I just back off, because she just doesn't react well to it.
I stand by my statement. That was probably the most memorable.
I ask everyone a couple follow-up questions. How would you physically describe the hugs that you have with Dorothy? Are they soft, sweaty, swaddly, bony? How would you physically describe the hug?
Well, I don't think they're sweaty, but I would say they're just firm with feeling, And it's hard to describe the feeling, but, it's at that stage, it was 100% love, but you still were in that stage of, do you really love me back? And you can feel that in the hug.
So it's like a reassurance.
Like a reassurance hug.
And if you had a file cabinet and you open up that file cabinet, there's a bunch of different folders and they have that little tab on it. You can only write 1 or 2 words.
Yeah.
Where would you place or file a hug like that, and what would be on the tab?
Well, that's harder a question to answer than the hug. I would probably write something like best feeling ever, best something ever, best something. I'm not sure what exactly I would call it, but it would be A or number 1, first one in the cabinet.
Yeah, I'm gonna build off of that. It's some kind of a board game. But yeah, I think I would build off of that because I haven't hugged anybody more than I've ever hugged Russ. So yeah.
How would you describe physically how Russ hugs?
Well, you have all different kinds of hugs. Sometimes they're silly hugs. So it's security. Yeah, I think so.
Dorothy and Russ, thank you for sharing this with me.
Hey.
Well,
Would you like a hug?
Yeah.
sure. I always take a hug.
Thank you, Russ. Thank you, Dorothy. Over 50 years of hugs. First one in the cabinet, security. Very nice to hear. I appreciate both of you sharing your stories with me. Does this podcast sound like a Hallmark movie? I think maybe it does. I think my friend maybe had a point. Is this too sweet? Is it too nice? What does this say about me? I might do a whole nother podcast on why I am doing this. Again, my therapist said that this wasn't a bad idea. Okay, let's stop thinking about that. Let's move on to our final interview. Let's hear from Sonia and Ryan.
My name is Sonia. I'm a business consultant.
My name's Ryan. I'm a copywriter.
Hello, Ryan and Sonia. I'm going to ask you a question. It has no wrong answer. Would you guys care to share with me the most impactful or memorable hug that you've ever had in your entire life?
I have to think for a second. I can tell the one that I remember, the last one that was very special. That was when you came back from Italy. And I was so eager to see you that I arrived at the airport like 40 minutes before. You walked through, you just landed. And then I also couldn't sit in the car and I stepped outside and was just like giddy to see you. Yeah, and then that hug was a good hug. But that's the last one. I think I had more good hugs too.
How would you describe the hug? Was it a strong hug, a soft hug, swaddly, bony? How would you describe the actual hug?
Well, Ryan, you were there. How would you describe it?
I think it was just a relief to see each other. You know, it was a month, and it was just feels like home.
And if you had a file cabinet and you open that file cabinet, there's a bunch of different files with labels, and you put different hugs in each one of those labels, which label would you put this hug in?
Joyful. Yeah. That's it. Joyful.
Thank you for sharing that.
Okay, me. The one that comes to my mind is probably, and it's not a specific one, but it's just of hugging my dad, because I can't remember it being a kid at a time where we hugged. It just wasn't, that kind of intimacy was not part of our relationship. And so as I got older, I just started hugging him, and now he hugs. But
You converted him.
yeah, he never did before. So as I've gotten older, now he does. But he's kind of doing this thing where he resorts to the side hug, unless I make him give it. I don't know why that started, but yeah.
So how would you describe your father as a hugger in a physical sense?
He's a terrible hugger. Terrible. Terrible, but we're working with him.
Well, and you already heard the file cabinet question. If you had to put that in a file cabinet somewhere, what would you label it?
Under the gentleness tab.
You guys, thank you for sharing this with me.
Thank you.
Would you like a hug?
Sure, why not?
Sure.
The side
The
hug.
side hug. I'll do the normal one. Well,
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Ryan. After a month away from each other, it felt like a relief to hug each other again. And Ryan has since taught his dad how to hug, although he's still very, very bad at it. A side hug is still a hug, though. Thank you for listening. If you've made it this far, I hope this experience had felt like a hug. My name is Josh Holub, and this is Good Hugs. This project was created, produced, recorded, and edited by Josh Holub. Please listen to the band Market, spelled M-R-K-T. They are awesome. Again, that band is Market, spelled M-R-K-T. If you know someone who you think would be a good interviewee for this project, goodhugspodcast@gmail.com. I hope this sounded like a hug.